I'm going to go ahead and put on my screen share so that you can see what I'm seeing in my Photoshop application. Let's see. And boom, it makes us teeny tiny, but that's better because you can see the actual situation of what's going on. So let's see. Let's say we wanted to put, well, first of all, remind me of quickly the things that you're actually looking to do. You want to basically take away the background of something, right?
Yeah.
You want to put it on, and then like take it and place it on a t-shirt or something, or whatever, some kind of piece of merchandise. And then what else was there?
Pretty much that. I mean, just kind of like being able to make mock-up designs, whether it's a t-shirt or it's, a mural rendering.
Well, this is perfect. Yeah, I mean, by the way, I am excited to tell you that I'm starting with Florida Craft Art doing the mural walking tours.
Oh, nice.
Hartzell hooked me up with that, and I'm so excited. It's been so much fun already, and I feel like I'm getting intimate relationships with the murals now, and yeah, I could talk to you about that forever. So first, let's get down in the nitty gritty, and maybe I'll, if we have time, ask a couple questions. But
very cool.
This is perfect because I'm sure you are aware of the Blue Jays looking for, or maybe not aware, the Toronto Blue Jays looking for art for their training facility. I don't know if you knew about that. I figured out about it through the Alliance, so that's why I said you. Well, that's why I assumed you might know. But yeah, I'm one of those artists, so we can look at the way that I went about doing the mock-up, and I actually need to change some things about this file. So it'll be perfect because I can show you pretty much everything you'll need to learn just by looking at this. So this is a 4-panel piece that I'm going to be adjusting, and I won't do all of that right now, but it's basically think outside the box. So think outside the batter's box. And this other file that was right here in the beginning, oh, it's not going to show me this exactly the same. I'll have to go through my downloads, but you may have seen this logo right here just sitting in my downloads when we had opened the screen. And that's because I just downloaded this from the internet. And you can basically find any image, and we can do it all together too, and like do the download thing, and I can show you all of it at once. But just, you know how to download an image and open it in a program probably. And okay, cool. I'm used to, I did
not that much.
I did customer service work for a long time. And so I make no assumptions about people's abilities, and I have no judgment for it because certain people know like how to send an email and sometimes people don't. So whatever, like I'm not, but I'm glad that you do because it saves so much time. Yeah. So you would basically go ahead and download a file, and then if it's in your downloads, you'd press open, you'd go to your downloads, you'd open it. And this is your selection tool, which is you can move stuff around. It's pretty much what it sounds like. You just select it. Now, this is a really important step, and the first thing I do whenever I open a Photoshop file is to change this right here from being locked to unlocked. Because if the bottom layer is locked, then you can't really do anything. And like you'll see, okay, I guess you could use the magnetic tool, but maybe, okay, you can use the selection tool too. Now I have this, I know I'm like doing things fast, but okay, you can use eraser and stuff like that. But the moment you start getting to more layers, it becomes complicated. So the first thing I do is just double click it. Come on, bro.
Is there, now I actually can't see the far
Oh, yeah, you can't hear. That's a good call. I'm glad that you said something. It's because I had changed the orientation. Now you're
okay, there we go. Yeah, I thought it was like maybe my screen, but no, that works.
Well, I'm glad that you said that. And sometimes what you see me doing kind of doesn't pertain right now because I'd use the lasso tool, which selects certain things, and then that stops you from being able to do other things. So I'm just trying to explain everything I'm doing so you don't think, oh, am I missing steps? No, I'm just like making sure I have the ability to move my mouse. I think it's got a pop-up, and because I've got so many screens going on at once, it's like not showing me, so I'm double checking. Weird. Okay. Well, I don't know why it's making that noise, but this isn't a step that's actually necessary. It's just something that I do. So let's go ahead and just jump straight to if you were trying to get rid of the background. And so we've got our selection tool, which is the one that you usually go back to. And then down here is the eraser tool. And you see it pops up and tells you what the tool does. So that's really helpful. And then there's a little cap arrow on the bottom right of the majority of these tools. I don't know if you can see, it's like really small. But if you hold down on it, it extends and you have more options. So this would be like your regular eraser. And if it was something that, like, if you liked this color blue, or for example, you just needed to get rid of the sports logo part. Let's see, hold up. I've got it on as like special paint eraser. Then you could just get rid of that by using like the brush kind of eraser. But if we're trying to get rid of something like huge in the background and it's all one color, and that's the biggest part, it has to be all one color.
Yeah, like trying to make like a transparent image.
Yeah, see, this is annoying because it's a logo. It's saying indexed file. And so that's why usually if I double click any file, it'll just let me unlock it, but it's giving me a problem because it's like vector or something. And I'm trying to just show you how to get rid of the background, but I might open a different image because it's just being complicated. So I'm going to do that actually. This I know is a JPEG. Okay, see how this is going to be easy. Background, okay. And it just unlocks. Did you catch that?
Wait, no, I missed that. Where did you go?
So this right here is lock. If I double click, it just says layer 0 and it unlocks it. And so that makes life so much easier. This is going to be way simpler than the other one. So now that I've opened the file, I go to eraser and I make sure I choose, instead of the regular eraser tool that we got rid of the logo name with, I'm going to use magic eraser tool, and it's literally magic. Like I press it once and it's gone. Oh. Because everything was white. So it'd be a little different if you were like using a picture. I'll just show you what some of my recent projects have been and it'll like make sense. So I made this edit of myself based off of this picture that was on a magazine that I thought was really cool. And I didn't use her body, obviously. I wanted to put my body there, but I wanted the background of everything. So this one's super simple. I can just press magic eraser, but I'll show you if I do that to like her skin, it'll still take out a lot of it because it's going by color. So it automatically sorts like the peach color different from the hair, but you see it's got like all of her features, and this is where it gets a little bit more rosy or in the contour so it doesn't catch. And I could keep doing this, but if I zoom in, it's really pixelated, and that's not really what I want anyway, because I'm trying to get rid of her entire, I was realizing I was pointing with my finger so you can't see that, her entire hair. So then what I would do to get rid of the background, and this one's like a little bit more complicated, but and takes a little bit more practice, I guess, but not too much. You just wouldn't use the eraser tool at all. You would use this, which is called the lasso tool. And then like the magic eraser, I go down to the magnetic lasso in the bottom, because the magnetic lasso means it's going to try to automatically go to the form that it's already picking up on. So it's like I click once, I click twice, and it's kind of tracing it for me. It's not making it too hard. If I use the regular lasso tool, I would have to get everything exact. See, I cannot click and it automatically picks it up, but for certain things you want to be very specific. But now I'm going to click, click, click around the corners especially. And I'm being messy, but you kind of get the picture. And for the bottom, it can get kind of complicated. Like it doesn't automatically grab the exact straight line of the canvas. So I would maybe want to click more times. But just for speed's sake, I'm going to make it kind of messy and go all the way around to show you that I want to end at exactly the same dot and try to keep it specifically on that dot, because otherwise you end up clicking a million times and then you're like, how do I get out of this? And I'll show you what that looks like because it's painful to get stuck in. But I would just delete that and now it's gone. And so that's if I'm like trying to get the background. Or if I wanted to keep this and take it away from the background, I would use the move tool or the selection tool and just move it out. And now I've got my person. And so let's say you're here and then you're like, okay, crap, I forgot. I'm trying to put it on the other picture. So if we were trying to put our beautiful faceless lady on top of the Blue Jays sports logo, I would just go by hovering from this tab to this tab, and choosing, oh, wait, no, I actually want to put it here. No, I changed my mind. I want to put it here. And then I'll just drop it and it'll drop. Oh, wow. Look at it's because it's an index file. It made it two-tone. That's pretty cool. It looks interesting. And so right now you can see I've got it selected. So that's why it's doing that like dancing line around it still. And that got there from us using the magnetic lasso tool. But let's say we don't want her face to have like the third eye of the Blue Jays logo. We want actually to have her entire body in it. So we need to shrink it. Well, I use a quick tool, which is Control T. And Control T is shorthand for free transform. So you could also go to edit and go to free transform. And that's going to do what it sounds like. You can freely transform the shape. And so you can make it big or small. And if you want to keep the proportions, you can leave it like this. But if you want to have the freedom to change the proportions, and I know I'm throwing a lot at you, so just tell me to stop or slow down if I need to. But if you want to keep the proportions, you can press shift, or you can hold down shift rather, while you're moving it. So I've got shift held down on my keyboard right now, and that's why I can change all of the shapes. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, if you want to change just one corner, you can hold down control instead of shift, and you can make it like really out of this world and like shape it different ways. If you do all those corners, then you can get like a very weird shape. And sometimes you actually do want to do that just to make it like fit the perspective or whatever it is that you're looking for, especially for a mural. I can imagine you wanting to like, let's say that you're trying to get this on a wall, but you've got the wall is actually, at an angle like this. You would maybe take the bottom corner and be like, okay, this is going down central, and then across the street here is where the mural be. So I feel like that could be relevant for some of the stuff that you maybe use. And once you want to,
what do you hold down while you're doing that?
Yeah, so you would hold down either two different keys for changing the regular proportions. Let me move it back to kind of how it was before. Regular proportions, it would be shift. You are not keeping it in the same dimensions. You're allowing it to maybe get skinnier or longer. And then if you're trying to change how I wanted to say orientation, but that's not right. If you want to change
like the plane
more drastically, yeah, the plane, exactly, then you would hold down control. So the buttons are right next to each other in the bottom. I just use my pinky or ring finger to hold it down. Shift, control, and once you're happy with the shape of it, you just press enter, and that means it's going to stay in the same place. And you see, though, we still have that like dancing line around it. So that's because we still have it selected from that lasso tool in the very beginning, and you'll just press deselect. So I know that was like a lot, but we can do it from the top with another example just to show you like step by step one more time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I had like when I was trying to do this on my own before, I did watch some YouTube videos and stuff, and a lot of that was, you know, very similar to what I was learning, but it was like, I don't know, things just like weren't quite working, and so it's helpful to see
Yeah.
what you're doing step by step.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of reasons why something could not be working properly. And that's what's sometimes frustrating about watching like a YouTube video is that you can't just be like, but that part's not working.
Yeah, I'm like, what if
Know
the first step is different? Now I'm lost.
exactly. Do you have Photoshop on your computer?
Yeah, I have it open on my. I've got like my desktop, and I've got my laptop. I've got.
Cool. Well, let's try it step by step together. And that way we can make sure that you really get it. And I was showing you like multiple scenarios at the same time too, which can make it like complicated. But once you get the hang of it, you'll look back at the video and be like, oh, okay, maybe that's what I need to do instead. But now we can just take it step by step together, and you'll be able to see like for yourself that like you know how to do it. So the something I would suggest for trying like the scenario of this logo that we had done, which was taking simply a black or taking a white background from something with very clear, crisp lines and contrasting values to the white, that's the best case scenario. Like if you're putting the St. P Arts Alliance logo on something, or if you're taking like something that's a flat design, like all clear colors, not necessarily like a woman in the forest or something like that. That's where it gets complicated. But you could take any logo. If you have something on your desktop, that would work. And open that file. And then I'm gonna just use this logo we already did the eraser tool with. And we can do it again. And then I'm gonna open something else, another file, just like something I'll download from the internet that I can just make from like a t-shirt and put it on. So it'd be like t-shirt mock-up or something. Or for it makes more sense, let's do like a white wall, because that would be maybe what you're working with on a mural. And then you just let me know when you've got your version of those two files open, and then we can take it step by step.
I had it on my computer at one point, but then I think I deleted part of it.
That's okay. And it could be anything too, although I understand if you want to use a specific file.
Okay, I'm ready. Good to go.
Perfect. So I'm going to open the other file that I just downloaded, which was just like a blank white wall. Okay. Sometimes things pop up and I just don't read what it says. If I click through it, it lets me do it. I'm like, fine, that works. All right. So this is my mural wall, and it's just like the plain wall. And I unlocked the bottom layer by double clicking and pressing OK. And so that means I'm ready to go. I'm ready to add other layers to it. So I don't know if you want to go.
The corner of your
Oh,
screen.
yeah. Thank you. So I had done that double click on lock thing, and then I had already pressed OK, but I'll do it again there and OK, which means it's all good. So does your bottom layer have the lock on it?
I don't think so. Okay. Okay, when I double click it, oh wait, here we go, hold on. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, mine's a different, anyways, I've got it, it's unlocked.
It might be a different version of Photoshop, but they all pretty much work fairly similar. Mostly the only thing it ever updates is like how nice the brushes are. like usually it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and exit out of some of these other files so I don't get myself confused. Which the arrow's not there, but if you have a lot of files open, there will be a little arrow right here, and it drops down and will tell you other file names, because it can only have like 3 or 4 up at the top at the same time. So it's just like, as an aside, I've been frustrated before, like, where did that picture go? And then I realized it's underneath. But yeah, so my bottom layer is completely ready to be worked with. My logo, I want to go ahead and take the white space away again. So do you remember what the name of the eraser is?
The eraser, and then you click on the little thing.
Yeah, and it's the magic one, because it's going to do some magic.
Now,
so
when I click on my one, it doesn't show me additional options.
It only has the regular eraser for you.
Yeah, like I can see the little tiny arrow in the corner, but it's not.
Try holding down the click button, and it should. Yeah, did it open? Yeah. I know the software can be really like sensitive with certain things, and it's just like annoying, but it's just the way it is. Okay. But you get used to it. Yeah, so you got the magic one now? Mm-hmm. Perfect. And you can just choose anywhere on the white space, and I clicked once and it disappeared. Let's see if it works for you.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Perfect. So we're basically, unless you see any additional, like sometimes you want to be extra careful. I can tell just by looking at it that by zooming in a whole heck of a lot that this one spot didn't catch. And so like if you're doing something that is on like a purple wall, you're going to notice that because there's a white speck. So you might want to check and see if there's anything like that. Also right here, I can see in between these splatters, there's a little bit. So just like being extra thorough with that can save time.
Yeah, so then you go and click each one of those little spots.
Exactly.
Oh no, what if I hit the wrong spot?
Then you just Control Z and undo it and pretend it never happened. And I know I've done that a million times. Yeah, Control Z has become like my best friend. It's just like undo. That never happened. We're gonna pretend.
Okay. Okay, I'm good to go.
Awesomeness. And so you don't need the eraser tool anymore, so we could just go straight back to the move tool, the very top one, the one that looks like 2 arrows perpendicular. And we should be able to move it pretty freely through around our canvas that we're working on. And if we can do that, then we can drag it off over to the next file just by holding our click down and hovering over to the next picture. And then I've got it right here in the center, and I'm just gonna let go. And once I let go, it opens up.
Okay.
So you see how all kinds of unexpected things happen in Photoshop. So the picture that I've downloaded, it's a gray carpet and white wall. So the person who made this image made it in grayscale. So sometimes these kinds of things happen, like the index one, that image of the Toronto Blue Jays, it changed the thing I had dragged over because it had specific settings to begin with. And same thing is happening here. It's set in grayscale, so it automatically changed the colors. So in order to change that, I'm going to have to go up and figure out where's the colors. And sometimes like you'll see that I like forget where things are, even though I've used this program since I was literally 11. It's like you get used to it, but you don't. Like there are still, I would say maybe one out of every 15 projects or 10 projects that I do in Photoshop, I still look up videos for. So if you thought just that this tutorial is going to make your day of YouTube tutorials over, I've got news for you. But so now I remember. So it's image mode. And so it's clicked grayscale. I'm just going to put it in CMYK merge. Okay, sure, whatever that says. Okay, so that didn't work. So I'm going to try RGB. CMYK is printing colors. RGB is how we see colors. It didn't do anything. We're just going to pretend it's not that way because the image that you work with probably won't have that problem.
Yeah, mine came through the color. Now, remind me again, though, like the image that I just came and overlaid is like way larger than I wanted.
So you could go about it by pressing free transform, which is either edit up at the top and then down at the bottom or in the middle, I guess, free transform. Or you could just do Control T, which is the fast version, like the shorthand of that. But if your image is like really, really big and you're not even able to find it, like I know I've had this happen before where I like drag something in and, oh, see, look, I changed RGB and then I brought it over and then it worked. So that explains that. But I know I've dragged an image in before and it's sometimes been like so big that I'm like, where are the corners?
Yeah, that's what's happening to me right now.
So what you can do is just keep dragging it until you find a corner. Like just go to where you know a corner would be.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Or what we could do is just be like, okay, fuck that. Excuse my language, but delete this layer altogether and just be like, we're going to try a different way and go back to this original image. And instead of dragging it in as is, we can change the size of this file first. So this would be like an entirely different way of going about changing the size of it because you wouldn't have dragged it over to this other image yet. Let me know if I'm making sense because I definitely don't want extra confused.
That makes sense. I somehow managed to completely lose my image completely though.
Oh no, the top layer or the bottom layer?
Yeah, the top layer.
Well, perfect, because this is like an entirely different way. So do you still have it open in another file?
Yeah.
So let's go back to the other file and just like pretend we never even tried the free transform thing, because what I'm about to show you is a different way of changing it. So because it went in so big, we already know it's going to be too big. We might as well just change the size of it before we try dragging it on top because it's going to be too big. So we can go up to image and change image size. So image size. And now there's two things that seem kind of similar there, which is canvas size and image size. I just remember it as like, I try to keep canvas in my mind as like the stretcher bar of an actual canvas. Because if I change the canvas, it's going to be like changing the actual, not the image that's on top of it, changes the canvas. So we don't want that. We want to change the whole image. So go to image size, and this right here that's in between these two numbers is the lock proportions tool. So this is on lock. So if I change one side, it's going to automatically change the bottom. If I change without it, it doesn't automatically change the bottom with it. I could make it arbitrary size. And as you can see, I'm just going to exit out and go back in since I messed with the settings. Pixels is what it often automatically goes to. So you want to make sure if you are blowing up an image that you have at least 300 pixels and 300 resolution. That's just like what especially resolution. I usually just keep it at 300 because it's going to make everything more detailed. So I'll change that first sometimes. Like I'll just make the resolution better before I even change the size of the image. And you saw how it like zoomed in because once we change the resolution, it gives us more details. So it's making the image larger already. I know that it's like a lot of steps, but it's better to make sure that the resolution is going to be at a high because then again you're going to have problems in the end that are harder to go back and fix. So the resolution's high, that's great. Let's say I don't want to deal with pixels at all for the size. Like I want to make sure I can actually get it on a piece of paper. So I'm going to change it to just inches. And so this is great because mine, I don't know what yours says, but mine says that the width is 17 by 11 about. So I know that's not going to fit on a piece of paper. So in order to make it smaller, what I want to do is do the width of 10 and then it has it unlocked. So it's at 6.4, but that's less than 8. So I'm good with that. I know that it's going to be able to fit. What kind of size situation is yours saying?
So mine was saying it was like at 10. It came in through inches.
Okay.
And it was at 10 and something else, and so then I just changed it to 3, and then it auto did the height to 4.6, but the resolution is at 300.
Perfect.
I just tried to move it over, and it is still like bigger than I want it.
Yeah. So then in that case, it's usually just I would delete it from being moved over there, being way too big, and just kind of trial and error. So I'll kind of like just like measurements. I'll in a recipe or something, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to try cutting it in half, and see how that works. And if at least you can find the corner once you drag it over to the other image, then you can free transform and make it something like that really fits perfectly once it's on top.
Okay, I'm gonna try it one more time. Now, oh, so when I do the Control T, like the first time I did it, it showed me like the white outline, like of the edges of the thing, and now when I do it, it only gives me like a pink thing. So it's like I can't like grab the corner and like shrink it.
Interesting. What are you still on the selection tool up at the top?
Yeah.
Pink thing. Try maybe doing edit instead of free transform. You could click regular transform. Actually, that makes all kinds of. Yeah, and then is it warp? Okay, no, that's not right. I like got myself in a setting that I don't want to be in. So I think I see what you mean by pink. When you say pink, are these the same lines that are showing up?
Yeah.
So those are like auto, yeah, that's normal if they disappear because they're just like auto aligning it. Like this makes it perfectly in the center. And if I look for the exact center of the image, sometimes a green line will like go across this way and it'll be like, okay, you're perfectly in the center. But that doesn't have to do with the free transform necessarily. So I'm wondering why it doesn't show up for you. When you click free transform, this doesn't come up at all, the outline that's happening around mine.
Okay, when I click it, it did. When I just did the
Perfect.
okay.
Yeah, are you on a Mac or are you on a
I'm on a Mac.
Okay, so it's actually the on a desktop. I'm glad that I asked that. Yeah, on an Apple, it's not control, it's command, I think.
Oh,
It's
okay.
weird. Try Command T and see if that does something. Because I'm pretty sure I used to have Photoshop on a MacBook Pro, and that was a whole thing going back and forth. Yeah. The ones at school, which were all Windows, I was like always getting confused. Okay, so I'm glad we got that. So it's everything I said that's Control, like Control Shift or Control T. It's gonna actually be Command. So, now that you've got it, you can change the sizes, and you could do that just by dragging. It's going to keep the same proportion, right? Is that happening for you?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And then you can try it by holding down shift while you move that same arrow, and it changes the dimensions. Like I can unlock that basically. Does that work for you?
Yep.
Yay. And then this last one, it'll probably be command instead of control, to be able to change the plane of it. So I'm going to use the bottom right and change it as if it was going up like a street or something.
Now, how do I, with this, like, since I'm just messing with it, but I want it to be like straight, how do I like undo what I did? Like, without having to do I have to just perfectly put it back, or is there a way to just like?
Yeah, so if you can just press Control Z, it usually goes back to just the last step. Or Command Z, I guess. Command Z.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you can keep pressing Command Z too up until like I don't remember how many, but usually it's something like 10 tries or something like that. That you can go back that many steps. And so sometimes I'll be like, all right, this is an interesting look. I think I like the way this is looking. And then I'll be like, never mind, never mind, never mind, never mind. And that comes in handy. But yeah, hopefully it lets you just get rid of it and go back. Did it?
Nice. Okay, cool.
Yes. Okay, this is awesome. So you basically just did it, didn't you? I wish I could.
I made a mock-up on my t-shirt that I tried so hard to
Oh
do.
my God, that's awesome. And it was hardly even painful, right?
Yes. No, it's wonderful. This is awesome. Thank you. No, okay. Well, no, I don't know how much more you want to get into.
No, that's perfectly fine. Please. I love teaching, so I'm literally like, what questions do you have? Go ahead.
Okay.
You have to
My
be really
question is, let's say like in the image that I have, like the image that I cut out and then pasted into the other one is green. But what if I wanted to just change what I cut out and make it white? Can I do that?
You want to change what you cut out and make it white.
Like I want to change the color of the image that I.
So without me being able to see it, I have a couple questions. So the green, is it like all one color green? Like is it
It's just like a simple illustration.
Okay, so basically instead of having white, red, and black like I do, it's just all green.
Yep.
Okay. In that case, you can just take the eyedropper tool, which is up here. And this thing is like my boyfriend, literally. I love this tool because you can.
Do I do this in my first layer, like before I drag it over to the other one?
It actually doesn't matter after, as long as you have them in two separate layers. And the reason why would be, so in your image, when it says layer over in the right, is there like another one on the bottom or below? Yeah.
Well, in my original image, it's just one layer, but then on the
When
other,
you moved it over, right? When
yeah.
you moved it over. Okay, so the one that you're working on that you've already moved over, you would be able to change the color here because it's a layer of its own. If it was a layer with the other thing, it's the computer's reading it as just one layer. So once you go to change that one color, it might change the things around it too because it thinks they're attached. Um, and I was wrong. You're not going to use my boyfriend for this. You're actually going to use my husband, which is the paint bucket tool. I freaking love this thing also. So the paint bucket tool looks like a paint bucket, and it might be automatically as the gradient tool for you. I don't know. So if you don't see it, it's right above the finger, and you'll find the paint bucket as one of the options.
Okay.
So and right now my paint bucket tool, the color is automatically, the last thing I must have used was black. So I'm going to click on the color. I forget, like, I want to make sure, is it double click? Yeah. So I double click on the color and then I can drag it around to be anything. And I could change it to really anything at all because I've got the whole color spectrum here. But since we're just using white, it doesn't matter if I'm using like a red white or a yellow white, it's white. So and you know it's white because like you can see the numbers changing as I drag it around on the color spectrum, and it's at 0, so that means it's white. Make sure this layer is selected because it just popped up and said no layer selected. So selected would just mean that the layer on the right is highlighted.
Okay.
And I've got my paint bucket tool as white. Do you have yours as white?
I think so.
Perfect. So then just like the magic eraser tool, we just click and it should turn your green into white.
Nice. Okay.
And so mine isn't, and clearly the red wasn't all completely red because I've got like splatter paints and there are little splatters in it. So it's going to be a pain in the butt, but I can still go in here and keep pressing it a million times and eventually it's going to get more and more white. But since yours was just a plain green, it should have already just taken it all away, did it?
Yeah, for the most part, there was some little like splatters in mine too, but
Yeah, it's usually something like that that ends up happening, but the more you mess around with it, the faster the little dots will disappear. And sometimes what you can do is like start with the paint bucket tool, but then like refine everything with a brush tool. And so just you would take your paintbrush, and my paintbrush right now is super tiny, so I'm going to make it like a bit bigger. And then because I have it on white still, I'm able to just brush over the top and it's getting rid of some of those dots that I'm trying to not have be a part of it. And it basically just makes it blend in a lot better.
awesome. Yeah, I feel like I lost a lot of definition when I did that, when I changed colors.
Yeah.
Better than it did.
Yeah, it can do that. And you know, there are ways to change the color to another color without using the paint bucket tool at all. Um, so I'm just gonna Control Z a million times back until I have the full logo, if it lets me. Might be at the limit. I think I am. Let's try a different way. Let's just say I've got, this is not one color, obviously, but let's say I really love this design, or the person that I'm working with loves the design, but they were like, never mind, let's not do blue at all. Let's make it green or something like that. Or let's like have it be a green scale. So what I would first do is go to adjustments and then go to, I think it's color balance, or no, it's hue and saturation, right? Yeah. So hue is like the specific color that we're using, and then saturation is how colorful it is. Lightness or darkness is pretty self-explanatory. But if I take all the saturation away, it's a basically black and white image. If I put all of the saturation up high, it's colors that blind you, basically. And then if I change the hue, it goes from a blue to, I could change it be bright pink with green, or yeah, I mean, and these are really fun to mess with because sometimes, you just shift it over a little bit and it gives you let's say they told me it's too aqua. The blue jays actually are more of a deep blue. All I would need to do is just move it over a little bit and then I've got exactly what they're looking for and I don't have to start everything completely over. But again, that's like if you were making it a different color. So I'm not sure if you could use this for changing it. I mean, you could make it completely white and then everything disappears. But and you can make it completely black, but yeah, I'm not sure if there's a way you could change from color to white so easily. But hopefully that kind of answers it a little bit too if you were just trying to change the design around a little bit. And yeah, the paint bucket tool though is usually what I would go for that. If I was trying to just make something, either the background or the thing in the center, completely white or completely black.
Yay, this is so helpful.
Yay, I'm so glad. I love being of service and helping in some ways because I know Photoshop can be really like painful, especially when you're first starting out. So just being able to ask questions like sometimes makes a huge difference. Is there anything else like that you're itching to learn how to do?
I mean, tons of stuff, but I feel like right now, like this sort of suffices for what I need
Yeah,
it for. But I think also as I mess with it more, I'll come up with more things that I could use it for, and like want to be able to do with
definitely.
it. So, but yeah, this is a great start, and just kind of understanding the basics of like what does what and how to use the tools and how to switch from different things, and I mean just basic stuff like
Definitely.
that.
And I can tell you, like, I already took off the Photoshop, but I use it almost every day, and I pretty much stick with the selection tool, the brush tool, the eraser tool. I use the magnetic lasso if I'm moving things around. I use the eyedropper tool to change colors, and I use the paint bucket tool. If I'm adding text on top of it, I'll use text. But some of these things, like stamp, smudge,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what this thing even is. I don't know what the hand does. Like art history brush tool. I have no freaking idea what that is, and I never need to use it. So, like, certain things, it can seem really complicated or overcomplicated because it kind of is. But obviously, we all use it for different things, so we need those options. But you can stick with those, basically the tools that we covered during this session or whatever, and get you really far. Like, I've learned so much just by messing around with just those tools and practicing different things. And the beautiful thing about Photoshop and a lot of these kinds of programs is it really shows you that there's no one way to do anything. In Photoshop, like every single person has their different way. Every person I've met in art school as professors and outside of art school in like printing scenarios or whatever we were using Photoshop for, every single person that I've worked with did like taught me something new just by it being their way of doing Photoshop, and vice versa. Like they'd be like, what quick function did you just do?" And I'm like, "Oh, Control-Shift-I, you didn't know?" Like you always learn something new. So don't get too intimidated just because like the people on YouTube, that's just their way of doing it. Like I guarantee for every tutorial video that there is on YouTube, there's 5 other ways to do the same exact thing, and none of them are right or wrong. So yeah, if you ever have other questions, you can feel free to ask me. Obviously, feel free to ask Google too, but if you need a human being, like, I don't mind taking a second and trying to
Yeah.
figure it out.
Thank you. No, this is super helpful. I think just in getting the basics down for me, because I think sometimes the my experience with the YouTube videos is that, like, well, I'm just not good at being like self-taught. Like, I like someone teaching me. It's just my brain is that
Yeah.
better, but like it's different. I feel like when I'm just sort of a passive viewer of somebody doing something, it's harder for me to like really comprehend it. And then, like I said before, if there's any thing in the video that isn't quite right to what I'm doing, I don't have the tools yet, because I don't know even the basic tools yet to even
Even some of the vocabulary, like if I didn't, and just like too, like you had asked that question of, okay, I'm clicking the paint or the eraser tool, but I'm not seeing magic anywhere,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's because you don't actually click, you hover, and then you hold the thing. It's like, it's so
Yeah, and I'm
sensitive.
like madly clicking, like, I hate
Yeah.
this. I'm
You're like,
done.
meanwhile, the YouTube video is 45 seconds in after then. You're like, huh. And if you're watching on one screen and you don't have like a double monitor, forget about it. Like going from YouTube to, you can't watch and do it at the same time. Heck no. So, I mean, yeah, I'm just glad I was able to help. And yeah, I mean, if you don't have any other questions right now, then I'm glad I was able to help you. It just makes me
Thank you. I appreciate it.
question for you about the I thought about messaging this to you. I don't know if I actually did, but I was talking to one of the mural guides, Greg, and he was telling me that there might be some open wall space still for Shine, and I'm really interested in submitting myself to that. So if you have any information on that, or if you know where I can get it, that would be helpful for me.
Like, you're looking for a wall to be a part of Shine, or you're
Yeah,
just
I would love to. I mean, I've got some mural experience from, well, both the Black Lives Matter murals, some being just there with that, but I have done like my own murals just with my own work. I've done
nice.
some stuff at um, the University of Florida, and also like a couple of small businesses and stuff like that. So I haven't done anything here though. And I really want to make my mark on the city, and I would love to do it in mural form.
Yeah.
So I know that you're
Well,
the person to ask.
yeah, send me your portfolio or just images of what you've done, and then also we'll do. So we curate the festival, but then we also have one open call for a local artist too. And so if you don't end up on the curated list, then you can submit a design. We'll give you like the specs of the wall, and you could submit your design for that wall, and then we'll select one more artist to add to the roster for that. So, but yeah, this is a good time actually, because we're just kind of starting to get into like what this year is going to look like and how many
Awesome.
walls we're going to do and who we're going to invite. So, yeah.
It's so cool. Yay. I'm so excited. I love being on time for things like this, and even early is even better. Yeah, I'm really I remember I talked to you about my like virtual reality nerd,
Yeah.
and that's what I really want to bring. I think that St. Pete is ready for its first interactive mural, like actually interactive, not just like, not to dismiss how cool putting 3D glasses on and seeing paint be like a little holographic, like that's cool, but it's not the same as looking at it through your phone and seeing like a light beam shoot out at you just
Yeah.
through your phone. Like that's freaking awesome. And I've got the tools to be able to do that. And so I would really like to do it. It would be my first time doing it. So it's not, I'm in full transparency. It's not like I've done the murals that I have done, they came to life, but I know how to do it. And it's as simple as Photoshop, if you can believe I just called it simple.
It's
So
doable.
it's doable, exactly. And I really want to try it, especially with like our city is just, we're getting closer and closer to those things becoming normal, and that is what I want for my career, like to be in that domain. It's just like what I naturally kind of flock to, and so it's really exciting for me because I realized that about myself back in maybe like 2017 or 2018, and it was like just really impractical at the time, because no one even knew what I was talking about. Like I would say VR and they're like, what is that? And I'm like, oh, this is gonna take some time, isn't it? But everything comes when it's supposed to. So yeah. But I definitely will send some of that your way. And once applications open or whatever the process is, me sending an email or something like that, I'll make sure I can prepare the right images to send that will kind of be like, oh, we get it. Like you could
Yeah.
do this for real, and I really can't. So
Yeah. Yeah, we'll do the open call later. Usually it's like the mid to end summer, whenever we can get our act together and time to get it out there. But yeah, usually like midsummer or something like that is when we'll start posting that.
gotcha. Yeah. And I'm just really interested in getting in the community more too. I mean, that's why I'm starting the tours and all that. So even if you guys are looking for like um, some organizational assistance or you just need like an extra person or whatever it is, if you think like we're shorthanded, remember me because I'm not too prideful to take notes or something like that. Like I like being a part of those kinds of conversations just because you learn so much. Like it's
Yeah.
I love the teamwork aspect. So yeah, think of me for that if something makes you think of me and know that I would be open to hearing it because I'm all about that kind of stuff.
I will. I will definitely keep that in mind. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I'm glad we got to hang out. Like this was kind
Yeah.
of like it was stressful in moments, maybe, but it was awesome, right? Like,
Oh yeah, this is great. This is great.
and look, the product really works.
I
Like,
know. Look at that.
all right. Well, I'm not gonna keep you from your kids any longer, and I hope that you have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Thank you. I'll talk to you later.